Hey there, it's Valerie from Sentimental Sweets by Val. In earlier segments, we've been talking about the difference between baking powder and baking soda. This next topic is a bit more advanced, but it can really help you up your baking game. I've researched and baked lots of cake recipes, both vintage and modern. Occasionally I've run across some recipes that call for both baking powder and baking soda. My question to myself was, well, can I bake with both baking powder and baking soda? And the answer is yes. Now, as we've discussed in earlier segments, no, you cannot substitute baking powder for baking soda, but they work very well together. Baking powder is going to give you the most lift. It's the most predictable as you're getting a standardized formulation in your can of baking powder. Baking soda acts as your secondary leavener. It can also be a flavor enhancer or a flavor neutralizer. Now, acid ingredients such as buttermilk, yogurt, or molasses are going to react with your baking soda. Again, that's your alkali, but the amount of acid might be inconsistent, and there may not be enough acid to provide all the leavening that you need, so you're not going to get quite that lift. Baking powder, which does contain an acid, is added to provide additional lift. Now, if your recipe calls for acidic ingredient to enhance the flavor of the baked good, like citrus or brown sugar, if you only use the baking soda, it could use up all the acid and you may lose that desired flavor. Adding a little baking powder, no more than about a half a teaspoon per cup of flour, ensures that you have enough leavening power without using up all of your acidity. Baking soda alone may not give you all the flavor you want in that particular recipe. Now, to clear up the confusion, what to add and when. Remember, baking powder will act alone. It's already an acid and an alkali in a can together. You don't need to add anything else. A half a teaspoon to 1 teaspoon baking powder per cup of flour is all you're going to need. If your recipe calls for baking soda plus an acid, how do you want it to taste? If you want it to taste tangy, add baking powder. Now, a good question here would be, why not just add more lemon juice? Well, now you've increased the amount of liquid in your recipe and that could throw it off. If you want a smoother taste, omit the extra baking powder. And I say extra as that is in the addition to your baking soda plus your acid. Now, another cool thing baking soda can do is it helps baked goods to brown a bit more. It's a great ingredient to add into your cookie recipes if you want them more browned. Now, let's repeat the rule of thumb here one more time. Baking powder, a half to 1 teaspoon per cup of flour. Baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon per cup of flour. You can have both in the recipe. Now, here's a caution. Adding too much baking soda, especially with a lot of acid, can make your baked goods have a soggy or metallic taste. Adding too much baking powder can also cause an aftertaste. And it can also cause your baked item to rise too quickly and then collapse. Then you have a fallen cake, which is exactly what you were trying to avoid. So when experimenting with your leaveners in a recipe, remember what each one does. Remember how much to use. And once you start tweaking, tweak your leavener one at a time and in low increments. Write down what you used and the results that you got. And soon you'll be kicking your baked goods up quite a notch. I hope these tips help. Follow me for more vintage baking tips, and if you enjoy vintage baking, check out my website at www.sentimentalsweetsbyval.com. Until then, happy baking.